And a friend of mine, her mother had a pug dog, and she asked me if I make a painting of it. So I made a painting of it, and she gave it to her for her birthday. She passed away, so they gave me the painting back. Right now, I'm looking for someone that has a pug dog, and I'll give it to them. My name is Melvin H. Zimmerman with a double N. Right now I'm 95 years old. Very fortunate to live that damn long. And I've been with my wife this coming June. It'll be 71 years, which is amazing. And I've got 4 children, 12 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren. I had the most blessed life of anybody could ever ask for. Yeah, these paintings go back, some of them go back when I was in high school. And that's done with pastel. And this scene is done with markers. And this is one of my favorites. You can see they're even coming apart, the matting, because they're so old. But I like that one because it's very simple. The very first thing I remember about art, I always was interested in art. And even as a young child, I would get the newspaper and copy all the comic strips, like Popeye, Lil Abner, and stuff like that, and see how close I could draw. And then when you do it like this, you get this kind of effect, and like this. But those were like, I would call them like 20 to half an hour sketches. And then I went to Hadley Technical High School. It was a high school off of Grand Avenue, and what it was, you got a regular high school education, plus you also learned a trade. We would enter various contests because that was probably about 1941 when the war started, and most of our projects would be related to posters talking about buy war bonds in those days. And to be honest about it, I took about 5 different awards in those 2 years, and all you got in those days was a little pin about this big and not even a certificate, because everything was going into the war effort, metal, paper, and so forth. And when I left there, I had 2 of them going for a national, and the thing is that I never did find out if they ever won national awards because I went overseas in the war, and they wasn't considered that important then. This one I just did this year. That's my newest one. And then we have a place at the lake. And the wife wanted a painting of sunset. So this is my newest one. And all of a sudden it was about 1945. And I really don't recall. I must have came home at one time and got some brushes. And I had some paint that the painters had aboard ship. And I decided to make a painting. And I asked the captain, I said, "Captain, would you mind if I made a painting and called the ship another nickname?" And he said, "No, go ahead. What are you going to call it?" Well, since it was an ammunition ship and it would go boom if we got hit, I thought, how about calling it Angel's Coffin? So what I did, I painted a nude woman sitting on a mine, which we also carried. And she had wings and rays coming out of her, so forth. In fact, this is what she looked like. And that was done in 1945. And here's a picture of some of the shipmates holding it. Yeah, the drawing board, that thing must be, I'll say about 1940. That's the board I used to use when I worked for myself, my own studio in front of this man. And that actually is from some school that went out of business, and my boss would buy them, and that's what we worked off. And we always used a drawing board and a T-square. And little did I realize that, about 70 years later, I started doing a documentary of my life because my family wanted to know what I all went through. And all of a sudden, my son noticed a painting on the computer, and he says, "Dad," he says, "I see a painting. Did you do a painting called Angel's Coffin?" I said, "Oh my God," I said, "where in the hell did you get that at?" He said, "It's shown here. Somebody's got it." I said, "Who?" He said, "There's a museum in Pittsburgh." So what I did, I called a curator in Pittsburgh, and I said, "Do you have a painting called Angel's Coffin?" He said, "Oh, yes." And I said, "Where'd you get it?" He says, "Bob, a fellow by the name of Jack." And I says, "Jack?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "He's a shipmate of yours." So after 70-something years, I got in touch with him. He said, "Yeah, Mel, when the ship was decommissioned, I took the painting. They gave it to me, and they were going to destroy it. I shipped it home, and I had it in my house for 70 years, and I finally located it to a museum in Pittsburgh." So I called the curator, and he said, yes, he has it. So then my family decided to send my wife and myself on my birthday to view the painting. But we went up there, we flew up there, and then entered the museum. And without realizing, when we walked in, all of a sudden flash bulbs went off, guys come running to me, and there were all the newspapers in Pittsburgh were found out about it, and they put it in the paper, and the whole museum was loaded with people to see me meet my shipmate about the painting. And that's where it's at right now. In fact, here's one of the articles that talked about the two sailors getting together with a pinup girl. After that, I always did paint. So I had drawings and paintings from high school, did them on my own. And then I guess maybe about, quite a few years later, when the wife and I traveled, I would take photographs, and every now and then I'd make a painting or from a slide. So I've been making regular paintings, not to sell, not to put in the museum, which they are maybe not that good, but I made them. And then all of a sudden I realized I had quite a collection. And then the last 4 or 5 years, I started doing more down my basement with the idea that when I pass away, every one of my children will have a painting, and every one of my grandchildren will have a painting. So I just about got that all taken care of. It's just the idea that they have to pick, and I have to be careful who picks before the other one, so I don't get in trouble with them because I let this one get a painting before the other one. That was the greatest experience I think I ever had. Not that I was a hero, I never was a hero. But when they asked me to do that, I did not expect what it was going to be like. So the wife and I went to the game, and we sat by ourselves, and I thought, well, if they're going to interview me, when they're going to do it? Well, the game was starting to go on, and they never did ask me. Finally, they took me and led me to an area where there was a man with a camera. And when I looked up on a big marquee, I started seeing pictures of myself and the ship and so forth. And then they started interviewing me. And I'm not bragging, but when those thousands and thousands of people lifted up and recognized me, it wasn't to recognize that I intended to get, it was to recognize that everybody in World War II that passed away or were injured, recognition of them, which I was relating to them. And it hit me so hard. That will be one of the greatest events or thing that ever happened in my life.